What are your thoughts on spirituality then? Like, because once again, certain people, like over the years, certain people, like I've realized that certain people who I don't, some people basically like lean for whatever reason, towards more spirituality than obviously believe in God or whatever. Like, yeah, what are your thoughts on spirituality just in general? Like,
Well, I mean, we're all spiritual beings. So I think it is right that people have their own experiences. And also, I think there are a number of world faiths that other people belong to and that they believe in wholeheartedly. So it's not for me to um, cast aspersions on their views or to deny their experiences.
yeah,
I think I don't have the authority to speak with any wisdom
yeah,
on spirituality. I think I read quite widely, and I think there are very different ways of describing the human experience of faith,
yeah,
and no two people experience faith in the same way. And so I think it is very difficult to express any conception of the divine or spiritual things or the universe in language that is intelligible to us. And so I want to leave space for people to express themselves and their experiences as they see them.
yeah. For you, like, what's the if like if there's any difference in it, like for you, what's the difference between being able to be like a good judge of character versus, like being able to read people's energies or feel people's energies? You get me? Is there for you? Is there like a difference between being a good judge? You know where I'm coming from? Because I feel like sometimes I wonder if there's like a difference, or if both of those things are quite the same. If you get where I'm coming from? Because like you usually hear it from certain people, and some people usually say to you like, "Oh, I'm good at reading people's energies," and some people tell you, I'm a good judge of character." You get me? Like, you don't get where I'm coming from? Like, is there like, are both of them the same, or like, you get me?
I think
Or maybe,
I've seen this in some friends,
yeah,
and I am wary. And the reason that I'm wary is because the way that we respond to other people really does differ depending on how we are showing up ourselves. If we're, for example, trying to escape ourselves, or if we feel traumatized by or triggered by something that somebody else has said, of course their energy is going to be off. Do you know what I mean? And I think, how do you become a good judge of character? Well, from having adverse experiences where you got it wrong, but you're not infallible, so you're not going to get it right every time. So I think judge of character is slightly different. Judge of character is more about their similarity to your own values, right? It's where I'm putting myself in this space and I'm saying I really value authenticity and empathy and integrity, and this person is a good person because they accord with my values. Whereas this energy thing is more about, oh, I don't think you're going to defraud me, or I feel like I can trust you, or you're a kindred spirit, or it's not quite the same thing because it's not measured on your own values, it's measured on what they can see in somebody else and what perhaps a gifting that they see in that other person. I don't know.
You know what? I've never really thought about it that way. That's a very interesting like way to like look at it. You get me? Very interesting. You know what? What can I say? So going back to what you do, like everything else that you do as well. Like, how do you? Because we live in this life. Once again, with what I'm about to say, you probably like know people who have said this, innit? We know people who have said this in terms of like, oh, my life is too busy for me to start something new, or I can't really balance this because I'm too busy doing that. So once again, like, I like these conversations once again, yeah. I like, again, you never know who's going to be watching, innit? You never know, someone might be inspired or somebody might take some advice
Maybe
from you.
Oprah will watch it and invite me
Maybe
on her
Oprah
show.
might watch it. You get me? You just never know. This is the good thing about social media. You never know where clips or videos end up in it. Like, what I would like to ask you is, you see like all of these things that you're doing, that how do you balance them? And it's a two-part question here. How do you balance all of these things that you do? And two, do you make enough time for yourself to recharge your batteries?
Life is one big juggling act. And I think I mentioned this before we started recording, but the introvert in me has to be balanced with the business owner in me. And so I do take quite a lot of time to recharge.
That's good.
Because I have to recharge my social battery so that I can be wound up again and then go out again.
That's the key.
And there are a variety of ways of doing that. I live in Broadstairs, you know, I can walk my dog on the beach. Even to drive to Broadstairs, it's like an island of its own. So it's there's enough thinking time there. But I think for me, it's what can I do to shut off the thinking? So I'm big on flotation. I don't know if you've ever been to Floatworks, but a huge shout out to them. They've got 2 sites, one in Vauxhall, one in Angel.
What's that?
And it's like like a figure of 8, and it's a tank filled with Epsom salts, 500 kilograms, I think, warm water, and you go in there and you float. And they do it for veterans because it helps them process trauma, it helps them relax, it helps them recalibrate their nervous system. And I've got a membership there. I love that there to relax. But I think one of the things that I've been working really hard on, which won't be visible to new audiences and is slowly becoming clearer to the people who have known me for a long time, I've been working really hard to get everything moving in the same direction. And this comes back to the purpose question. It feels like I'm doing a lot of different things, but I know where I'm going. And to me, it's just kind of, it's like having a bowling alley and you've got a bowling lane and you've got the guardrails up. And quite frankly, look, if you ever go bowling and you've got the guardrails up, walk straight out of there because nobody should be bowling like that. But for the purposes of this illustration, the guardrails are up and the ball's just ricocheting from side to side, but the destination is the Skittles at the end. And so I think it's keeping the main thing the main thing. Somebody really wise said to me, Leah, is it on your center line? If it's not on your center line, don't do it. And so you've got to know yourself, you've got to know what your center line is, you've got to have that. As a visionary, you've got to know where you're going, so you can tell people where you're going, but also don't be undeterred from your destination.
So you've created your own lane, you know your lane, and all you're doing is just manoeuvring within that lane. And because
I'm
you
definitely
know the
manoeuvring,
is...
but there's a lot of opposition, right?
Yeah,
so it's almost as if at the end of the bowling lane, there's torrent
still...
of water coming at you. You know,
yes,
there's all these, you know, I don't know, a box of nails. I don't know, maybe the Skittles are made of stuffed animals. I don't know. Yeah. But there's a huge amount of opposition when you're trying to go against the status quo, when you're trying to do something new, when you're trying to advocate for change. And so you've got to have sufficient will, but also support, and also clarity, and also energy to be able to keep going.
Yeah. You see, like in this life, yeah, like I come from a very big family, yeah, and some people in my family don't like me when some people basically in my family, they don't like to speak about death, and some people do, right? Because I think it's a human thing where some people, for whatever reason, they've got this thing, oh no, you shouldn't talk about it because it might come to you. The more you talk about death, it's like you're attracting it. But the older I'm getting, I've got this thing where it's like, we're all gonna die one day, so why not have certain conversations that could make us more comfortable with death, or kind of understanding like different aspects of, you know, of death, if you get where I'm coming from. Like on your podcast, I saw you.
Yeah, Nitin spoke about not having a fear of death.
I saw, you speaking to a very interesting man about death. And obviously sometimes I speak to him about it and I'm like, and for me, it's just simply to just remind myself that we're not here forever. Like, also maybe to try to give myself a little kick up the backside sometime to be like, yo, like, try to get certain things moving a bit faster, if you could, you get me? Like, what are your thoughts on death just in general? Like, you know.
This is one of the benefits of being a Christian. I don't have to fear death because I trust in the one who has gone before me and who has died on the cross and been raised to life and has given me new life through him. So, I mean, I think there are many who would say that as a Christian, death is an opening of the next chapter. And I'm excited about the new creation because there will be no tears, no crying, no mourning, no pain. They won't need any lawyers. They won't need any conflict resolution. You know, I'll be out of a job. I'll be able to go back to being a musician and playing my violin and eating wonderful food without gaining weight.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, you know, it gives me a confidence about life. I don't know how long I have, but I know that it's not something that I need to worry about. All I need to worry about is today. And I need to have confidence that I am who he says that I am today. And I need to trust that he will carry me through death. And then I can give that gift, that confidence, that peace of knowing that there is life beyond the grave to others who ask about it.
And you see Christmas, yeah? Because obviously people, once again, this is just to try to educate certain people, if there's anyone out there, yeah? You see that with Christmas, yeah? Like, you got this thing of like people saying, Christmas is this, Jesus is this, Jesus is that. How do you look at, like, for you, like, what's Christmas and what does Christmas mean to you? Plus Jesus Christ as obviously a Christian woman.
You were asking me this in January. This seems like a strangely timed question.
I know, it's like... I wish it was Christmas, by the way.
Christmas is the fulfillment of a prophecy of the long-awaited king.
Yeah.
And I love the story of the wise man and the providence in them coming to the place where the baby Jesus would be born. And I always think of Christmas as inextricably linked to Easter, right? This was a baby who was born to live a perfect life that we could not live, knowing that he was going to have to die to carry the sins of the world. And he lived that life obediently for 33 years and then willingly went against the rulers, against the authorities, and submitted himself to death. You cannot separate Christmas from Easter because there's no point in Christmas if you don't have Easter. And I think the pinnacle of the commercialization of what Christmas has become is seen in the fact that a bunch of charities have come together and they've created the hashtag I found Jesus because there are so few pictorial representations of Jesus in Christmas stores that basically anytime you see anything related to the nativity story or something that relates to the Bible in a shop at Christmas, you're supposed to take a photograph and tag it on social media as hashtag I found Jesus. And that's sad to me.
Found Jesus.
But it's also a commentary on where we are as a society. And, you know, people want to say Christmas is about family. Of course Christmas is about family. Christmas is about love and joy and hope and peace. But you can't have love and joy and hope and peace without understanding the person who brought those things into the world. So that's my thoughts on Christmas.
Like what you said, you know, I know Christmas is gone. It's just that, again, like I said, just sometimes like I could be in winter, I could be in summer or whatever, and then somebody could just talk about, like, you know, the meaning of Jesus Christ and all of this and that. It depends, innit? You know, sometimes conversations just pop up in random places at random times, innit? So before I ask you my last few questions, yeah, like, do you have anything specific that you want to talk about that maybe you feel like we should touch on a bit more before I ask you my last few questions? Obviously, we're going to have more conversation moving forward in the near future, but, you know, like, for now, do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I have a migraine.
Yeah.
So I don't think so.
Oh. I did not see that one coming. Like, and also, like, obviously we spoke about purpose before, and even like in general as well. Like, just a broad question, like, in terms of, like, who are you? Like, however you want to answer that, like, who are, as a human being, who are you? The person that we're sitting right in front of right now. Who are you?
I'm somebody who is a child of God, who has been through extraordinary circumstances, who considers herself to be very ordinary, but has been primed to do extraordinary things.
Absolutely amazing. And do you how do you keep your, you know, like, your mental health, like, at bay? Like, how do you keep your mental health, like, in a balanced place, or like in a good place, should we say?
I mean, I really like champagne, but I don't think that answers your question.
Yeah. I mean, if it helps you.
I mean, it does. I saw something on. I saw something on social media, which was for young female ethnic minority entrepreneurs who had basically bought a case of alcohol and then on each bottle wrote a milestone, so that when they reached that milestone, they would open that with their friends and they would celebrate that together. And I'm not very good at celebrating moments, but I've started to do that. So that's why I mentioned champagne. Float works. I do find lying in a flotation tank for an hour, sometimes I do a double slot, really, really helpful to just clear my head. A good session is when you think about nothing. You know, when you're completely weightless and you fall asleep. That is my idea of a perfect session. But I also think serving others. I think for me, bringing yourself out of your circumstances and focusing on something else and someone else and helping them move forwards, and not in the kind of work context, but just being there for someone and sitting with somebody in what they're experiencing, not advising them, not giving them the solutions to their problems, but just being with.
My mum usually says that, by the way, like randomly sometimes when we having conversations, she says that as well, which is quite interesting. I want to go back just quickly a little bit. You know that the floating thing that you do,
Yeah.
Like, how can people get involved once again?
So go to, I think it's floatworks.com.
Yeah.
And you can do a trial session. They usually have offers on where it's about, I don't know, £30 a session or something like that.
Yeah.
But you can try it, and the staff are very friendly, and the benefits are on their website. And I don't think there are other places in London that you can do that yet, but I imagine
So we'll have to come
there'll be some disruptors soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. So for now, if we want to come and get a session, we'd have to come to your ends.
Well, I mean, I'm not involved in it from a management perspective, but I am a member, yeah.
Nah, you said, you know, like earlier, like during this conversation, you said something very interesting which I wrote down in it, and you said, you're basically not fighting the journey anymore.
No.
That's one of the most interesting things I've heard this year so far. Like, to conclude the conversation, can we go into that a little bit more, if you don't mind me asking? What do you mean by that? Like, you're not fighting the journey anymore. That sounded, I'm not gonna lie, really interesting.
You know those cliches that people say, you know, Leah, it's about the journey, not the destination. And I'm like, no, it's about the destination. Of course it's about the destination.
Oh, do you think it's about the destination?
I did. Okay, and I was
good.
so focused on getting to the destination.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was missing everything else that was around me. It was I was driving too fast. And I was making decisions too quickly. I was trying to get there before I was ready. You know, there's this story in the Bible where the Israelites are wandering around in the desert and, you know, they're encamped. And the cloud sits above them by day.
Yeah.
And it says, you know, do not move until I move. You know, you move with the cloud. And here I was at breakneck speed trying to just go. I'm like, you told me where the destination is, let's go.
Let's go.
And it's like, no, because that's not how you're going to get there. If you want to get to the end intact at the destination that you're supposed to arrive at, you're going to arrive on time. I kept arriving everywhere early. And there was nothing, the table was not set, the people were not ready, nothing was working. I couldn't get clients, I couldn't, I was unhappy, I couldn't make anything work. And when I realized it was because I was constantly early, I was like, hang on, I need to stop, I need to look at the scenery, I need to be curious about what's going on here, I need to, I think that's where we're going, let me just sit with this for a little while, and let me just embrace the discomfort and see what fruit comes from that discomfort. And whilst I've been doing that, I've realized that we as a society, we don't talk about what it feels like to be in the journeying. We talk about, oh, the journey was difficult, or, oh, I found it unpleasant, but I'm at the destination now, isn't that wonderful? You know, just stick with it and you'll get to the destination. I'm like, no, let's talk about the journey. Let's talk about what it looks like to be that person who sits with that person in the journey. Neither of you know how it's going to work out, but actually, what if you break bread from that place? What if you find peace in that place? What if you are inspired in that place? What if you can be impactful from that space? And that's why I'm no longer begrudging the journey.
Honestly, I think that's a very perfect way to end it, because like I said, like what you said, a lot of people, you know, like all of us are going through our own journeys, and some people still think the destination is better. Some people would say no. It's within like that gap between the beginning towards it's within the journey that obviously the most important thing in it. But then, you know, but like I said, that people are gonna watch this. They're gonna have their own, obviously, you know, their own thoughts. And I feel like you've gave us quite a lot of gems as well, by the way.
Please follow me on Instagram and on TikTok at Seen Heard Spoken.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, thank you so much for making time for us. And 1,000,000% next time we have our conversation, a part 2.
On a red sofa.
It's definitely gonna be on a red sofa.
chair.
Imagine she said, like, at the beginning of the conversation, she said, I'm quite disappointed I'm not on a red sofa. But, you know, I'm quite disappointed that today wasn't a red sofa. But I promise you, our next conversation will be on there.
Definitely a part 2 coming.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, once again, I like to say, you know, like, is there anything that you like to say? Or we're good for now?
We're good for now.
Absolutely. Reality Team TV.
We're back.
We're back. We're back. Peace and love, everybody, yeah? Peace.